As a teacher, I'm using AI every single day as an explainer. Because they are creative and non-judgmental, they can explain things in a way that suits everyone. For example, I can say, type in, explain Bloom's taxonomy as if I'm a 12-year-old who loves surfing. It's going to give me a personalized, really simplistic example that will save me time and entertain me. You can use that with the children as well when you're planning your lessons. You can say, fiscal policy, for example, explain this to a class of 12-year-olds who are bored and love basketball. It's going to give you loads of ideas of how to explain that to them. Take it one step further. You can take the problem concept and say, for homework kids, you have got to go away and get the best explanation. Bring that back into the classroom for peer marking. That's an AI-proof assessment. As a teacher, I use AI to help with student engagement, and a great way to do that is through role play. For example, last week I was teaching Henry VIII to my Year 8 history class, and I said to them, imagine you have Henry VIII in front of you. I want you to write in your books 10 hard-hitting questions that would make Henry VIII squirm. While they're writing that in their books, I put ChatGPT up on the projector in the classroom and I type in the prompt, we are going to do a role play, you'll be Henry VIII and we've traveled back in time to interview you. Answer all questions truthfully as Henry VIII. Now, once they finished, I then ask them, they put their hands up and I feed those questions into ChatGPT. It answers with full awareness of the historical actions and their consequences. They loved it. As a teacher, I use AI to empathize with my students. Now, as you can see, I'm not a young, sprightly, newly qualified teacher. And while this does give me the benefit of experience, it does make me more and more out of touch every year with what it's like to be on the receiving end of education in school. So what I do is I take one of my really cool lessons that I think all the 14-year-olds will love. I copy and paste it into ChatGPT and I say, assume the role of a 14-year-old. I feed it in as many details as I can, what they like, their hobbies are, as many details. And I say, now what do you really think of this lesson? I quickly find out I'm not quite as cool or interesting as I thought I was. But what's good about this is it then can help me improve my lesson and make it more engaging. Obviously this works for academic, but it also really works for behavioral and various other school issues, I'm sure you can imagine. Great. As a teacher, I use AI to answer the children's most important question. Now, we've all been there. We're rushing to finish content for an exam and a child shouts out, but why do we need to know this? It's really tempting, I know, as a teacher to give a half-hearted reply and get on with things. But as the quote says, if you can't give them a really powerful why, then they're not going to be so interested in the how. We can throw this back on ChatGPT. It has limitless energy with some refining to create the why. I'll put some examples up in a moment, but you can say, how is this relevant to real life? Give 100 examples, keep refining it, create a story, differentiate the story. It has endless energy to give real life applications for your subject, really making the why powerful. As a teacher, I use AI to help me teach the vital skill of critical thinking. For example, with my geography classes, I set them the homework, which was debate with ChatGPT, try and convince it that global warming isn't real. But here's the thing, print out the full conversation and hand it in for marking. Now, this was a great task. Firstly, because it's AI proof, no nonsense about integrity or anything like that. Use whatever you like. Secondly, it's naturally differentiated. And thirdly, because of the gamification, it brought out their competitive nature. And what I found is it made them research more, it made them question me more in the lessons, and it generally made them think more critically about everything, all in an effort to beat this evil AI. As a teacher, I use AI to get what I want. Well, I've overplayed that just slightly. But for example, if you're anything like me, when you try something new in the classroom, a new task, the first run through, you don't get exactly what you're expecting. In its simplest form, perhaps you were setting a task, you expected about half a page of writing, but you forget to write that explicitly, and inevitably, one of the children gives you like 6 pages, photographs, a paper mache dog, and all the rest of it. It's fantastic, but you don't know how to mark it, and you can't tell them to do it again because it was your fault for not making the instruction very clear. You can use ChatGPT as a sort of pilot study for your work to avoid that. You can ask it to assume the role of a creative, innovative 14-year-old. Get it to complete your homework task and then see what it produces. If it's not what you're expecting, you can then adapt your task before you hand it out.